another thing I find is very important is that always have the Quran, like the actual mushaf, accessible to your children. And by that I mean there shouldn't just be one big heavy mushaf in the family that sits somewhere in the living room, on a bookshelf high up. No, you should have a mushaf, a Quran in every room of the house, right? And it should be within reach. And you are, you should teach your children from a young age to respect the book of Allah, to handle it with respect. And children are very capable. We underestimate them. They're very capable of learning these things. So, having a mushaf that is accessible so that they can, look through it, they can flip its pages, they can look at the text of the Quran. This is how you make it familiar to them. If it's always, away from them, too high to reach, or it's not something that they can touch, it's not something that they can hold. What message are we giving them? We're giving them the message that they're not good enough for the Quran, or that the Quran is not for them. And that is a very dangerous message that we could give our children. We want them to know that from the beginning that the Quran is for them, right? And they are allowed to hold the Quran. They're allowed to listen to it. They're allowed to, flip the pages of the Quran, and teach them how to do it. And of course, watch them to make sure that they're not ripping any pages. And when they're done, teach them how to put it away also. So make the Quran accessible to them. And as the kids get older, you want to make sure that you build positive memories. You associate positive memories with the Quran. And the way you do that is that when it comes to the Quran, there should always be something happy, something positive, something exciting that they're going to remember. Typically, what happens is that a lot of Muslims, when they think about the Quran, they think about the beatings. They think about how they were yelled at. They think about the disappointment on, their parents' face. They think about how hard it was, how difficult it was, how tiring it was, and how, they were never good enough. That's not how you want your children to have their Quran journey. You want to make it a very positive, happy journey for them from the beginning. And you can do lots of things to to build to create those positive memories for them by creating positive experiences. Some things you can do, for instance, is that when your child reaches any milestone. So, for example, your 5-year-old memorizes a surah, or your 10-year-old memorizes a surah, or even your 13-year-old memorizes a juz, right? Or someone even older, let's say they enroll in a program where they learn the meaning of a surah. Celebrate that. Celebrate that. Make a big deal. And don't celebrate that by telling the entire tribe about it, because that can make the children feel awkward. But celebrate that in your family. Give them a gift. You don't have to wait for them to memorize the entire Quran before you give them a gift, right? You can literally give them, a chocolate bar, a Lego set, for example, that they had their eyes on, something that is going to make your child happy. And this is something that's going to be you're using that as an incentive, as an encouragement, but also teach them at the same time that the real reward is in the akhirah, right? And for that, you also have to teach them the benefits of connecting with the book of Allah. For example, you teach them the hadith, you tell them the hadith that on the day of judgment, the person who recites the Quran right now will be told, read and ascend. Read and ascend. Read and go high. And with every ayah that you recite, your level will go higher. Maybe you can share this hadith with them when you're going up an elevator, right? And as you see the numbers changing, right, of the floors, you can teach them at that time about this hadith. And inshallah, this will impact them. Recently, a child who had memorized the Quran, when he was asked that, what motivated you to memorize the Quran? This is what that child said, that the hadith, that on the day of judgment, the person, the bearer of the Quran, will be told to recite and ascend. And, I was like, yeah, I also heard that hadith many times, and I'm sure many other people have, but you don't know what can impact a child, right? And how it can encourage them and boost them to strive so hard to, memorize the entire Quran. Another thing you can do to create positive memories when it comes to the Book of Allah is that make sure you have, some kind of family halaqah. And by a family halaqah, I don't mean like everybody must sit down in a very serious, formal way. No, but at least once a week, in whatever way that, works for your family, whether it is just you or maybe some people from the extended family, whatever is possible, everybody sits together, just even for 10 minutes. And one child recites, for example, a surah of the Quran, another child reads the translation, and maybe you can listen to a lecture explaining something about that surah, and you just talk about that point, and discuss it with your children, discuss it with your family. Everybody shares one thing, and it doesn't have to be something very serious. Like, you can literally just recite, one person recites, one person reads the translation, and like that, you are making the Quran a part of your family, right? Your family life, in the sense that it's always, when your children will look back, will think about, the home in which they grew up and the things that they would do as a family, the different activities they would do. This is one thing that they will recall. This is something that hopefully, inshallah, will be, a part of the positive memories that they can associate with the Book of Allah.